culture in movies and books often romanticizes the struggles of love, teaching us that love is something that you have to win through hardship. And the more conflict that you overcome, the deeper the connection might be. You have not seen a drama where they met and had no problems. They have to meet. There's a miscommunication. There's a lapse of judgment. There's mixed signals. No one knows what's going on. They're getting advice from everybody except for the person they want to be with. You have some romances where the environment aids them in coming together. The trial and error where their friends try to get them hooked up, but they fail. You have the misunderstanding where the person that wants to be in a relationship sees the person they want to be in a relationship with having a better connection with somebody else. You have the love triangle. You might have two love triangles. You might have the wrong relationship with the love for the person that's not in the relationship. And all of these things leads you to, at the end of the movie or at the end of the series, the two people that were supposed to be together at the beginning of the movie might actually end up together. But the timeline is crazy because they might be childhood friends that as adults didn't get it together. And they might, after 5 or 10 years, depending on the storyline, come together. They might, after 20 years or 10 or 15 years of being separated, find each other and then start bonding. And through chaos, they develop an attachment with one another, the trauma bond that leads to the romance, that leads to the relationship. There's so many different ways that the drama show it, but the drama never shows you meet the person, you stick with the person, you work through the misunderstandings, and you stay with the person. There's typically 5 or 7 different relationships involved in the chaos. Lack of communication, work, travel, family matters, life issues, health issues, and eventually they come together. And the more problems they went through, if they're still together at the end, that's that deeper connection. But I got to tell you guys something. This isn't passion. All of the stuff that I just told you, it is chaos that is wearing a passion mask. It's an addiction to an emotional loop. You get hooked on the little moments of affection they give you after long stretches of silence or neglect. You live for the text that finally shows up at 3 a.m. or the sudden I love you after a week of being ignored. These moments feel so powerful, so meaningful, so precious to you because they're so rare. You're not addicted to the person, you're addicted to the validation you get when you finally decide to give, when they're going to finally decide to give you the attention you've been longing for. Now, this dynamic leaves you feeling constantly insecure, walking on eggshells, and you're scared to voice your own needs for fear of pushing them away. You've seen this in the dramas before. I can't tell him, or I can't tell her. I don't want to lose them. I don't want to hurt them, right? You might start to think something's wrong with you. Am I too needy? Am I asking for too much? The self-doubt is going to be corrosive. You lose touch with your own intuition, the quiet inner voice that's been whispering or maybe even screaming at you that something is deeply wrong. You ignore that voice. You think back to the first time you told yourself that you should get out of this relationship, but you didn't get out of this relationship, and you kick yourself for it. And the painful truth is that this cycle isn't sustainable, no matter how many times you try it. It is not a foundation for a healthy, lasting partnership. Love is meant to be a safe harbor, not a constant storm. So real love should add to your life, not become your entire life. So the big question is, if it's so painful, why does it feel so magnetic? Why does the brain get so profoundly hooked on this dynamic? The answer isn't that you're broken. That's far beyond. It's also not that you're secretly love drunk. The answer lies deep in your brain's wiring, in your neurochemistry, and the emotional blueprints created long before you ever went on your first date. Your brain isn't making a simple mistake. It's following a very powerful, very primal set of instructions. To understand why these relationships feel so addictive, we need to talk about a powerful neurotransmitter called dopamine. So most people call it the pleasure chemical, but that's not quite right. It's more like the motivation chemical. Dopamine is what drives you to seek out rewards. It's the chemical of anticipation and pursuit. It's that voice in your head that says, go get that thing, it'll feel good. That's why guys chase sex, because that's our wiring. Go get it, it'll feel good. Then when it doesn't, you regret it. But it's the morning after, so it's like kind of can't turn back the past. But here's where it gets interesting. Research shows that dopamine doesn't just spike when you get a reward. It spikes most powerfully in response to unexpected rewards. Scientists call this a reward prediction error. The feeling you get when an outcome is surprisingly better than you anticipated. This effect of unpredictable rewards is known as intermittent reinforcement, and it's a powerful driver of behavior. So think of a slot machine. You pull the lever over and over and over again, you don't get a payout every time. In fact, you lose most of the time. But ever so often, the bell rings, you get a small win, and your brain lights up. That occasional unpredictable reward is what keeps you glued to the machine. Your brain becomes obsessed with the possibility of the next win. The uncertainty is what makes it so addictive. If the machine paid out every time, it would get boring. If it never paid out at all, you'd walk away. The addiction is in the maybe. Now, let's apply this to a relationship. The inconsistent partner is a human slot machine. Their affection and attention are the payout. When they give it to you sporadically and unpredictably, your brain reward system goes into overdrive. This is one of the reasons why spontaneous, random acts of kindness in a relationship drives the relationship to success. Surprising her with unexpected flowers, surprising her with unexpected dinner dates, surprising her with unexpected gifts. Um, but we typically internalize this to spending hundreds of dollars, taking her on an adventure that she never thought that we could afford. That's what we take it as. But truth be told, something as simple as taking 1,000 cue cards and writing 1,000 different love messages on 1,000 different cue cards and hiding them in 1,000 different areas that you know that she's going to look in. And she will find a message from you everywhere, in the glove box, in the armrest, under the seat. If she cleans behind the washer and dryer, there's a note back there. In the kitchen, in the cabinet, in the oven, in the fridge, under the mattress. When she changes the sheets, it's under the sheets, it's in the pillowcase, it's on top of the washer and dryer, in the detergent. If you're putting random messages, little small like poems of how important she is, and she finds these all over the place, she will have 1,000 instances of unexpected reassurance where it depends on when she gets to it. It's like a grenade of love. It's there. And when she finds it, it's going to make her feel good. Now, we have heard on the show plenty of times before where an ex will write a dirty letter about you and hide it in the house somewhere when the new girlfriend comes into the house and goes and looks behind certain furniture like a washer dryer or something like that because she's a deep cleaner kind of thing, and she finds this hand grenade of hatred from the ex that it could destroy the whole relationship. But because it is an unexpected, it's supposed to be an unexpected reward, and it's offset by the periods of silence and distance that are treated as losses in a relationship. One of the reasons why Valentine's Day is so phenomenal for women is because if your boyfriend or your husband hasn't paid you any attention since Christmas or New Year's, it's been a few months since he's acknowledged you. So by acknowledging you on Valentine's Day, it makes you feel important again. When you think about the sporadic timeline, they make you feel important on Valentine's Day, then they make you feel important on Mother's Day, then they make you feel important on your birthday, then they make you feel important on Christmas, and that's at least 4 random times out of the year. And depending on when your birthday is, you might have a guaranteed surprise event. It's a guaranteed event. You know it's going to happen, but you don't know what it is that's going to happen at least once every 3 months. Interesting, right? But it's going to create a state of craving and anxiety in between the events. You wonder what you're doing wrong, how you can get a win again. Sometimes you just complain about never having a win. And then just when you're about to give up on everything, ding, 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 they send a loving text or show up at your door with a surprise. You get that emotional payout. Your brain is flooded with dopamine, not just from the affection itself, but from the immense relief of your anxiety finally being calmed. Now, this rush is going to feel euphoric and deeply significant, more so than the average compliment. Your brain registers this and thinks, see, this person is the source of that incredible feeling, right? And we need to keep chasing that person. While it's not a perfect one-to-one comparison, the cycle of intermittent reward engages some of the same powerful dopamine pathways in the brain that makes substances like cocaine so addictive. Interesting, right? So you are, in a very real biological sense, hooked on this other person. We identify this as having your nose wide open, got it wrapped around a finger, got their hooks in you, right? But this is why a small gesture from an inconsistent partner can feel more powerful than years of steady affection from someone else. You're not in love with the person, you're hooked on the dopamine hit that comes from the temporary relief of their neglect. That's crazy. And this is always why a calm, stable relationship can feel boring at first. Your brain has been trained to equate the anxiety of the chase with love. Peace doesn't create the same dopamine roller coaster, so your brain might mistake stability for a lack of chemistry. But it's not a lack of chemistry, it is the presence of safety. And learning to see safety as the real prize is the first step to rewiring this entire process. A lot of people go on. I've seen a lot of these dating things where the girls are like out there chasing after this guy. No, he's not my type. He's not my type. He's not my type. But you got to ask yourself, did you always used to date your type? And if the answer to that question is yes, did relationships with your type ever work out? And if the answer to that is no, then why are you dating your type? Because your type might be toxic. Your type might be that roller coaster. Your type might be the push and pull from a psychological or emotional manipulator. Your type might be the attraction to a narcissist. If your type doesn't work out regularly, the question is, why are you not looking for something that is not your type? Just wondering, ladies. Just wondering. But if the dopamine cycle is the how of this addiction, then attachment theory is going to be the why. It helps explain why your brain was susceptible to this programming in the first place. Developed by psychologist John Bowlby, the theory suggests that the bonds we formed with our caregivers as infants create a blueprint for how we approach relationships as adults. Now, this blueprint is mostly unconscious, but it's guiding who we are drawn to and how we act in our partnerships. Oh, here we go. Special shout out to Cordelia Rule. Sometimes the type that we seek out is based on toxic upbringing, and we don't know any better until we go to therapy or do a lot of self-reflection. Let me open another. Wait, I'm gonna open another. I just had to let that marinate for a second because before I could finish talking about it, uh, I'm just gonna give it to you one more time because that's hitting the nail on the head right there. Hold on. She said sometimes it's right here for those of y'all on the 9x16, but for those of y'all watching me on a shorts reel, it's right up here at the top. For those of y'all watching me on a 16x9, it's right here at the bottom. She said sometimes the type that we seek out is based on a toxic upbringing, and we don't know any better until we go to therapy or do a lot of self-reflection. I told y'all we got some smart women that come to this show. They don't always speak up, but when they do. And you have to understand, while attachment styles exist on a spectrum, we often talk about three common patterns in this context: secure, anxious, and avoidant. Someone with a secure attachment style likely had caregivers who were consistent and emotional on others, and that love is a secure base, which is one of the reasons why it's easier for us to find women in the Philippines, because they're easily able to be attached to you, which actually makes it easier for you to get attached to them. We don't get that in America because we abandon our children at 14. Get out of my house. You don't follow my rules. You can't live under my roof. And it's just downhill from there. Betrayal, betrayal, betrayal. We're suspicious of everybody, especially the people in our house. Right? And as adults, individuals that grow up with this type of stable house, they're generally comfortable with intimacy and they can communicate their needs openly. Cornea says, I wish more people would watch your lives, to be honest. You speak about a lot of good topics. You know what? You've got a large friend list. I know you do because you're smart. And you could always share this show with your entire group and be like, bro, cardinal rules. I'm looking at it as Cordelia, cardinal rules. You got the cardinal sitting right there. I'm looking at the bird and I'm thinking Cordelia. It Now that it's cardinal, I could be I could be mistaking a man for a sir. I don't know. Either way, you're actually a loner. You know, I hate to say that the wise ones end up because nobody likes to listen to wise advice. But that's one of the reasons why I'm an underrated show. But I was gonna say, if you share female, got it right. Thank you, Lord. Because you were sitting over here like that sounds like a smart woman, because not very many guys come in with so much depth. But so cardinal rules, Nicole and Man, made me forget the other lady. Starts with a C. I'm gonna remember her when she pops in. Because I'm trying so hard to say Cardinal with because I think her name is Cardelia or Court something with a C. She was just here yesterday. I'm terrible with names. Either way, the fact is that if you got people that you know or familiar with, you can share it with them and be like, hey, watch this, and they might watch it and they might learn something. If you hang out with friends, you can always put the show on in the background and then you can listen to it while you're hanging out with other people, friends, family members, whatever. And, you know, by them listening to one or two of the shows, you know, like, dang, this person's actually talking about some real stuff and they might jump in. But because we talk about a lot of adult topics, we talk about a lot of politics, we talk about a lot of taboo topics. YouTube puts us in the restricted zone. So we're not always seen by all of the people that could benefit from us. So not only do we ask you guys to like each show that you watch, that you enjoy, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it, but share it with other people that you know could benefit from it, because more people do need to hear this type of information, because this is this is probably the only show that is a multi-platform show, because because TikTok just got bought out by the United States. We're going to try to get TikTok up here. I don't know what effort I got to put into making it happen, but we're going to try to get TikTok put up here. And when we do, when we get TikTok put up here, you're going to see the comments from TikTok flowing in as well. But we have YouTube, we have Twitter, we have Twitch, we have two different lives from YouTube right now, the long form and the shorts reel. And we have Twitch and Twitter, and we're going to get TikTok up here real soon. And that's going to be like 5 different areas where you can watch us, and we're combining everybody's communication in the comment section, so that people from TikTok can talk to people from Twitter can talk to people on Twitch, and everybody from YouTube can talk to everybody else, and we can actually have adult conversations. So this is the only platform that's doing this. Then I'm the only one that's not picking fault in the other person. I'm not the one that's from the man's perspective saying it's all women's fault. I'm not a feminist that's saying it's all the man's fault. I'm not a Republican saying that all Democrats are idiots. I'm not a Democrat saying all Republicans are idiots. I'm not a religious background that's saying everyone that's not religious is going to hell. None of these things are happening. I am literally coming from a uniform perspective, where if you step back and look at yourself, you'll find fault in yourself, and you can fix yourself, because you can't fix the people around you. The only thing you can do is limit your exposure to people that you would prefer not to behave that way in front of you. You have control over yourself, and you have control over what you can allow to be done in your presence. You cannot control what the other people do around you, but you can control how long you stay there while they're doing it. So what we advocate on this show is for you to pay attention to why you are in this situation to begin with, because it's not about what the other person did. It's about what you let happen. Sometimes it's about what you did, but it's also about what you let happen. That's why a lot of people don't like to listen to me when I talk about cheating, because when I talk about cheating, it took more than one person to cheat. The person that got cheated on played a role in being cheated on, the same way the person that cheated played a role in cheating. The same way the third person that aided in the cheating played a role in the cheating. The fact is that it takes more than 2 people to cheat. It takes more than 2 people to cheat. And it's not just the person who got cheated on who just made a bad choice in selecting a partner. You have to recognize what wasn't in a relationship. Sometimes, all the time. Well, okay. What was, take for example, let's get past picking the wrong person. Let's look at, okay, so if you pick the wrong person, let's say that you want the guy that all the girls want, captain of the football team, right? You're not even a cheerleader, but you want the captain of the football team. You see him with the captain of the cheerleading team. You find a way to navigate your way into being his girlfriend, right? Now, after that, you find out after that, he ends up cheating on you with the captain of the cheerleading team. First and foremost, you didn't pay attention to what he wanted. If he wasn't if you were not what he wanted, then at the end of the day, there's nothing you can do to satisfy him. What he wanted was what he ended up with. And what a lot of women will assume is that in this situation is that, oh, he was a dirtbag because he allowed me to be manipulated and this, that, and the third. But that's not actually the case. Let's flip the script. What if you're a cheerleader? And what if you're dating the captain of the chess club? You would think she would be cheating on him because that's not what she wanted. But what if he cheated on her anyway? She's attractive, everything that you would think a man would want from a girl, but she has a bitchy attitude. She doesn't have time for him. She's prioritizing her goals and her ambitions. She devalues his projects. She thinks chess is for dorks. She wants him to quit playing chess. All of his ambitions in life, she wants him to change that so that he can become the captain of the football team because that's not who he is. And he leaves for the captain of the math club because she respects him for who he is. She values his ambitions. She prioritizes his goals. He left a woman that probably was a 9 or a 10 for a woman that was a 5 or a 6 because a woman that was a 5 or a 6 respected him more than the woman that was a 9 or a 10. A lot of times, cheating doesn't have to happen because the person who cheated was a dirtbag. If here's another scenario. Take the wife of a doctor. Doctor working on the job 18 hours a day, 4 days a week. He's rarely home. Then when he's at home, he's on call. And he's glad to go to work for an extra 3 days. Every time his wife has a special event, he's got to cancel because he's at work. Every time the kids have a special event, he's got to cancel because he's at work. The void of her husband being there is going to get filled by the tennis coach, by the yoga instructor, by the captain of the football team, by her son's football coach, by her daughter's piano recitalist coach, the psychiatrist, the substitute teacher, whoever's there to fill the void, because the absence of the husband always being at work leaves the woman emotionally vulnerable. Now, when I give the examples like that, then, oh, okay, I see it. But now let's flip the script where the girl's chasing her career. She's trying to be partner. And while she's trying to be partner, her husband's got a full-time job. He's working 50, 60 hours a week. She's working 50, 60 hours a week. And then she's cheating with him on the job because she spends more time with her colleagues at the job than what she spends with her husband at home. Whose fault was that? It wasn't her husband. He's not at work too much that he can't be there with her. It is the fact that ultimately the void is still there, but it is there because the wife chose to spend more time at work. But the husband also did not prioritize time for his wife at the house when the wife finally did get home. He was asleep when she got in. He left early while she was asleep. Even though what she did was wrong, and even though she put herself in a situation where she did not have her boyfriend often enough, and the guy that she was working with gave her more attention than her boyfriend, her boyfriend still did not put enough effort into prioritizing her time. And when we switch this and have the husband marry the secretary and divorce the wife, women say that that was bad, but it's the same dynamic. He's paying this woman to do everything his wife doesn't want to do. Then when he comes home, his wife is nagging him. The secretary is paid to make his wife happy so that when he gets home, he's not miserable. You actually have a woman on the clock for 8 to 10 hours a day, being the wife you don't want to be at the house when he's paying for your entire standard of living. And when he leaves from that chaos and goes away with the secretary becomes a second wife because what was he missing? The piece that he got from the secretary. People don't think about that. She says sometimes people will get into a relationship because someone likes them, but they don't actually like that person. That's true. But that actually usually women will get into a relationship with a man that she doesn't like because he's paying for her standard of living. She could cheat on that man with the man that she actually likes. A man can date a woman that he's not attracted to because she's putting out sex, but then find a woman that he's attracted to and leave her for the woman that he's attracted to. That's called settling for less in both scenarios. But the problem with that is is that you lowered your standards and you lowered your expectations on both sides of the fence simply because you didn't want to be alone. A man with the Captain Save-A-Hole complex where he's going to date this chick because she doesn't have a ride to work. He's going to be her ride to work. He's dating this chick because she can't afford to pay her bills, so he's going to move her into his house and pay her bills. He's using his resources to put him in a relationship that otherwise does not benefit him. He's taking on a financial burden in hopes that that financial burden will lead to a long-term relationship. Now, she's benefiting from that, but that's not who she wanted. She might fulfill girlfriend roles because he's paying for her standard of living, but that's not who she wanted. Now, the problem with that is that if he can't afford to keep that up, if upgrades don't occur, if she can get herself out of it and pay for herself now, or if she finds the kind of guy that's closer to her expectations that can afford to pay for her standard of living, she will move out of the house with the guy she didn't want and into the house with the guy that she didn't want because she had settled for less for the financial security. This happens a lot. Well, if people are caught up with needing somebody, it is not weak. But I appreciate your comment. So here's the thing about that: individuals who are caught up on needing someone actually position talking about that today specifically because of a psychological situation where your codependency is taking over. And this could come from childhood traumas, but it could also come from relationship traumas as an adult, friendship traumas as an adult. The lack of emotional connections in your society for loners, for people who spend more time by themselves than they spend with other people, the lack of emotional validation from your society could lead you into accidentally ending up in a emotional codependent relationship. Because when you finally find somebody that validates you without stipulation, you don't want to let that go. That's not weak. I appreciate your comment, but that's not weak. Recognizing self value gives you the kind of stability to prioritize your needs and not depend on someone else's validation. I'm not going to say that it makes you stronger because that would imply that you were weak when you first realized that someone else can have you caught up. But no, as we're talking about right now, the dopamine hits that you get from the constant rejection, the finally receiving that validation, that puts you in a psychological position where you yearn for that feeling again. Just like when you gamble and you hit it big, just like when you hit it big on the lottery. If you look, hold on, take that video games for example. Video games, they have quests, they have side quests, they have side quests to the side quests. Each time you complete a mission, it's a dopamine hit. You see adult men, 40 years old, avid gamers, 5-10 hours at a time on a video game because it is repetitive micro dopamine hits. You beat this mission, you got this tool, you unlock this prize, you unlock this avatar, you unlock this armor, you unlock this weapon, you unlock this car, you upgraded the car. Congratulations, congratulations, congratulations. All of those dopamine hits. You won the race. You killed all of your opponents. You pinned the champion. You money in the bank. You all of these hits, all of these dopamine hits, and it has you hooked on that video game. Then put that into your relationships. You will be hooked on a person for the exact same reasons. That's not weak. It could lead to a chemical imbalance, but it's not weak. The dopamine distribution that you have in your life can cause your brain to chase that dopamine when it happens. Cardinal says, something I learned in yoga school is when you find yourself attracted to someone, don't allow yourself to pursue the person. Just observe your feelings and thoughts about what you're attracted to and why. Now, that's a good thought. However, you are not supposed to reject and or avoid that person outright. you are supposed to allow the person to engage you while you observe the person, why you're attracted to what you're attracted to. Because if you determine that why you're attracted to them is something positive and what you're attracted to is something finite that you can build with, then that might be a keeper. But if you reject a person because you like them, and if you turn away from the person because you like them, you could potentially be pushing away the right person. She said, and that is going to help you learn about yourself. It will. It'll help you learn about your needs and your wants. Then you'll be able to more authentically be able to choose what and who is best for you. Now, yes, while you're in the healing phase, when you're off limits to relationships, you're not dating anybody, you don't have a guy that's attracted to you in the friend zone or anything like that, you can look at people you're attracted to who don't know that you exist, and you can monitor your feelings as to why you're attracted to that person, what has you longing for that person, and categorize and catalog your feelings so that you can learn about what makes you tick. That's fantastic. But if somebody likes you, you got to kind of see where that goes without getting too emotionally invested, because you want to see why you're attracted to this person, what attracts you to this person. You want to find out why that person is attracted to you, and what attracted them to you. Are they here because you got a good personality? Are they here because they like your character? Or are they here because they want to sleep with you? Are they here because you got money? Are they here because they saw you get out of an expensive car? Are they here because they saw you spending a lot of money at the register? Why are they here? And then based on why they're here, you might determine that's not the kind of relationship I want. And then you reject them. But you don't reject them because they showed up. You don't reject them because they said, hey. You don't hit them with a "I got a boyfriend" before they even find out what your name is, even though you don't have a boyfriend. You find out why they're really here. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm in your favor, ladies. If the bullshit that come out of his mouth is "I just want to take you out," that's okay. I'm not interested in going anywhere. You don't have to say "I'm not interested in going anywhere with you." You don't want to insult them. I am not interested in going anywhere. But I mean, if they want to get to know you, and you want to get to know them, you want to get to know them enough to find out why the hell they wanted to get to know you, then entertain that part. Sure, you can get to know me, but limit them getting to know you. Let's have a cup of coffee. You want to be coherent, because a lot of times as adults, you want to do it over a couple of drinks, but let's do it over one alcoholic beverage and one caffeine beverage. That way we're coherent the whole time. If you're the kind of person that chases liquor after liquor, don't drink any alcohol. They can drink alcohol. You're going to drink coffee or some hot chocolate or some kind of non-alcoholic beverage, so that you can be coherent the entire time that you're monitoring them to see what they want from you and why they want that before you reject them. And instead of having them impress you with their money by having them take you on this $500 five-star restaurant, dinner, movie, yacht trip around the world, tour of the Atlantic kind of situation, just basic, let's just go sit at a park somewhere and drink some Gatorade and just talk for a little bit and really see what we got going on with one another before you paint the town red with me on your side. You know what I mean? Because again, you're not there for his money. You're there to find out who he is and what the hell does he want with you. Because if you and the reason why I say this, ladies, is because if you get blindsided by, and I'm going to say this again because the screen froze. If you get blindsided by the event, you lose focus on the guy that paid for the event. And what you're supposed to be trying to pay attention to is who the hell is the guy paying for the event. So you want to make it your priority to make sure that the event is the least important thing in your engagement. So you don't want a five-star restaurant where you're impressed by the restaurant. You don't want an expensive movie. You're not even talking to the guy when you're watching a movie. You don't want an activity where y'all can't communicate with one another to get to know each other. The first 5 or 10 dates, you're supposed to learn the ins and outs of this other person so that you can decide that this is the person that you want to be with. And then after you have made that decision, after that decision, this is the guy that I'm going to build a future with. Now you can go have fun. Now you can go do the 5-star restaurants. Now you can go do the night on the town. Now you can go do the yacht trip tour around the Atlantic, because that's the guy that you chose to do it all with. But before you know his last name, you don't even know his social security number, don't know what his middle name is, can't tell where his house is, don't know what the license plate number is on the back of his car, can't tell what the tire size is on his vehicle when he roll up. You can't tell what kind of trim he got on the vehicle that he pulled up in. Child, you should not be going nowhere over $20. And then on top of that, if you really care about this situation, you don't even let him pay. You pay for the whole thing. Women are like, no, fuck that. He got to pay for me. It ain't about his money. You want to know what kind of dude he is. So keep it under 20 bucks. You pay for him. Let him show up. If he wants to buy more than the $20 that you're willing to pay for, that's fine. Let him. Don't stop him from doing it, but you're going to pay for $20 of this, and then whatever the hell he wants to do after that, we can do that. Now, the reason why I say do that is because if you're in control of the dynamic, you pay attention to what he's looking for in you, and then you determine if that's what you're capable of being. Then you're able to provide to him what you expect him to be, and then he's able to verify if that's what he's willing to do. You get past that. That is when you're able to say, okay, I commit to him. Let me see what he's capable and willing to do as a man. Now he's able to say, all right, well, I'm going to pay for the dates. I'm going to schedule the events. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And you've already invested in him. You didn't invest a lot, because if you only went on 10 dates at $20, you spent $200. And his very first date that he paid for are going to be $400. You already know that. So at the end of the day, you're not investing a lot, but you knew who he was before he spent money on you. You're not wowed by his money for 90 days. And then when he stops spending all that money, then you start realizing he's an asshole. You get wowed by the person, not the cost of things. And then after you know the person, then you can let him spend whatever the hell he wants. It takes a long time to get to know a person for sure. What you're saying is spot on and very wise. You'd be a good girl daddy. Be a good girl dad. Yeah, I agree. I At my current position in life, I expect women to behave the way I would teach my daughter to behave. And I know that that's contradictory, because I'm not as willing to turn down a free activity with a female uh, as opposed to wife material. Because every guy, if she's giving it away for free, guys are usually not going to say no unless she's not physically dealing. But the fact is that when I'm looking for a long-term, positive, healthy relationship, I'm expecting this woman to behave the same way I would teach my daughter to behave. Now, while she wasn't raised the way I was raised, and she wasn't raised the way I would raise my kids, the fact is that I would not have the double standard that women can thought around me and my daughter can't behave the same way. So the exact same way I would expect my daughter to behave, I would proactively throughout my adult life start to reject everything that I would disapprove my daughter to behave. So now a woman can't come to me behaving the way I would not allow my daughter to behave. So if she need to pay for the first date and she don't know who I am, I'm sitting over here looking at her like you're a lost cause. Because at the end of the day, not because I can't afford it, it's because if you wanted me to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on you and I don't know who you are, I tell women this all the time. The man is not going to change that much from the time you meet him to the time you commit to him. If he's willing to spend hundreds of dollars on a stranger when he meets you, that's in his personality. He's willing to waste a bunch of money on a stranger. When you commit to him, you're committing to a man that is willing to waste money on a whim. Women don't think about that part. They just think, oh, he's not spending money on me, he's broke. But sweetheart, if you commit to a guy that's willing to spend money on a whim, you're committing to a guy that's willing to throw money in the air and let people pick it up off the ground. You're committing to a guy that's willing to drinks on the house and he cover the tab. You're committing to a guy that's willing to pay for everybody in front of him just so that he can go faster. You're committing to a guy who's willing to take his income and give it away, and not for a good cause. Now, The problem that I have with that is that any kind of man that has that mentality is not going to build for his future, and he's not capable of building for her future, because every extra dollar he has, he wastes it in the moment with strangers. Not his friends, not his family, not his girl, not his kids, with strangers. So when a woman expects a man to go all out with her and he does not know her government name, she is expecting him to throw all his money out on a stranger. And if he does it, he's not worth her time, because she can't build a life with a man that can't keep his money in his pocket. She can't make it to $1 million. I just told y'all a couple weeks ago how if y'all live on one income between two people and take the second income and invest it, that y'all can have $1 million in 2 years. But if every time this man leave the house, he take his income and, oh, he's at the football game, some guy sits next to him, he's buying drinks. Oh, he goes to the basketball game, some guy sits next to him, he's buying drinks. Oh, he goes out to the club, some guy sits next to him, he's buying drinks. This has nothing to do with if it's females, because if he's willing to spend money on you, sweetheart, he's willing to all the guys sitting at his table, he's willing to pay for the whole table. And if you think 2-3 drinks a person, $15-$20 a drink, is $60 a person, 5 people at this table, this man just spent $300, and he don't know nobody sitting here, and he's willing to do that 3 times a week, 3 times a month. And if he did that 3 times a month, that's $1,000 a month he's willing to throw away on strangers, which is $12,000 a year he's willing to throw away on strangers. And if you're willing to date a man that's willing to throw away $12,000 a year on strangers, shit, that's your hair, that's your Brazilian weave at $800. Y'all doesn't make sense. So when you meet the guy, no, keep your money in your pocket, I'll pay. We're gonna go somewhere simple. I just want to know who you is. I want to know what you got for me. I want to see what you want from me too. And then when y'all get to know one another, then, all right, I'm gonna stick with you. Show me what you can do. Now he can show out because he knows who you are. But if he's showing out before he know who you are, sweetheart, it ain't about you being a gold digger. It's about him being wasteful. So I tell women all the time, it's like, no, don't expect him to pay for shit. If he does, don't stop him, but don't expect him to pay for shit. Because if you expect him to pay for shit and he don't know you, then what makes you think that he not gonna pay for everybody under the sun? What make you think he not gonna pay for the whole club? What make you think he not gonna pay for the whole frat? What make you think he not gonna pay for the whole family reunion? What make you see what I'm saying? She said, oh my God, that is such a good point about how a dude spends his money. My dad is like that. He is very generous to people and kind of throws his money away a bit. But usually it's on family and close friends. But think about this, Cardinal. If he's in a room and don't nobody know one another, how do you think he made them friends? He bought them. He was sitting at the same bar, on the same bar stool, with the 5 guys within reach of him, buying everybody's drinks every night. They became bar buddies. Then one day they decided to hang out at the house and save some money. He's buying all the beer. They're coming to his house drinking. All of the close friends that he buy drinks for, they don't buy drinks for him. It's the same dynamic. A lot of his friendships could be beneficial to his friends because he's paying for their presence. And a woman wouldn't pick up on that if she's making the man pay for the first. A woman wouldn't pick up on that if she's testing his wallet. But at the end of the day, because that man spends so much money on other people, the wife has to cover the difference. The wife now has to put more money into the household. The wife has to put more money into savings because the money that should have went into savings for the man is going on his friends and his family and entertainment. In a 2-party household where y'all are living at 90% of your income and the 10% of money that should have gone towards your savings, the husband is spending it on entertainment. That's where fights start in the family. That's where divorces come from. But you would have knew that from the first date if you wasn't making him pay for everything. See, now I'm over here trying to help men become better men, and the ladies just found another way to make sure that they're looking at the better man, because today we're talking about why y'all are attracted to the wrong person. Not just why men are attracted to the wrong person, why women are attracted to the wrong person. He said, yep, my parents have been divorced my whole life because my dad was too much of a bachelor and always wanted to blow his money on fun. I didn't even have to know who you were, but I was able to diagnose the relationship because the man doesn't change that much throughout the marriage. He gets better at keeping his wife from complaining, but he does not get better at being a better man. That's the problem. Happy wife, happy life is a dynamic of doing whatever it takes to shut her up, but never growing as a man, never improving as a man, never growing as a husband, never growing as a father, never improving as a person. And ironically, when a woman marries a man who doesn't improve, she leaves him because he hasn't changed. But he is she got when she got him. So why does she want more after the fact when he was supposed to be enough in the beginning? Because she didn't get what she wanted in the beginning. She thought that he was going to grow. She thought that he was going to change. She thought that she was going to change him. They say old dogs can't be trained. Can't teach a old dog new tricks. Statistically, the truth is that you can't force another person to change for themselves. They can change for you, but that change is only going to be temporary as long as they're getting the satisfaction of validation from you while they're performing the change behavior. Will they show the change behavior? But the first time you don't acknowledge their change behavior, they will revert back to the previous behavior because they didn't do that change for themselves. They did that for you. And if you're not satisfied with what they did, they can just stop doing that because they're really putting on a show. It's like going to work and putting a smile on your face because you're getting paid to put a smile on your face. When you walk off the job, you're an asshole. The day your boss don't pay you, you're going to be an asshole at work because I'm only being paid to be nice. You stop paying me, I stop being nice. That's exactly how relationships are. The payment in a relationship is the emotional validation. The payment in a relationship is the affirmations, the respect. As soon as that's out the door, it's all hell break loose. And a lot of times when we start talking about those secure relationships, for many of us, we didn't have those experiences of secure relationships. We didn't see our parents with secure relationships. We grew up in unstable households. So instead of us developing a level of security, we develop an insecure attachment style, which is why it's not weak that you find yourself attached to the wrong person, because we have an insecure attachment style. Then we have the anxious attachment style, which often comes from having a caregiver who was inconsistent. Sometimes they were warm and present in your life, and other times they were distant and overwhelmed with shit. The child never knew which version of their parent that they were going to get. And as a result, they learned to love and receive love as a precarious scenario. And it must be constantly earned from the person providing that love. They become hyper aware. They always are scanning for signs of disapproval. They try even harder to seek that approval. That's the honor student. That's the overachiever in the group project. That's the overachiever on the job. That we call them the brown noser, the person that's always seeking validation from the boss. That's where that comes from. The person that overdoes it so that they can get the good job in front of the team from the boss. That's where that comes from. If that sounds familiar, you got to understand, as an adult with an anxious attachment style, because an anxious attachment has to happen with your romantic partner. Happen with your best friend, seeking validation from your friend. It can happen where the dominant friend gives validation to the non-dominant friend. It can happen with the boss and an employee. It can happen with the cab driver and the clients in the cab. It can happen with the babysitter and the children. It can happen with the kids. It can happen anywhere. This has nothing to do with physical intimacy. This is your psychological attachment style. So you might fear abandonment above all else, and abandonment can come in many scenarios. Abandonment could be fear of getting fired off your job. Abandonment could be the fear of your friends not liking you anymore. Abandonment could be a fear of your parents not liking you anymore. Abandonment could be a fear of your partner not liking you anymore. Abandonment could be a fear of your kids not liking you anymore. And you will try harder to prevent that. You're going to crave closeness. This is going to develop clingy behavior. But since your blueprint says love is unrevealable and it's very unreliable, you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. So no matter how much they praise you, no matter how much validation you're getting in the moment, the next day you're waiting for the but to happen. No matter how good your boss talks about you in the meeting, you're waiting for that but. No matter how many times you get a promotion, no matter how many times you get a raise, you're waiting for that pink slip. Probably one of the most terrified people in a traffic stop, because they didn't stop you, but because you're driving past a traffic stop, you're waiting for them to pull you over too. You're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. And when you meet someone inconsistent, it's going to feel deeply subconsciously familiar, because your brain doesn't register danger, it registers home. And this is the cruel trick of attachment. When girls who grew up in toxic relationships, toxic families, get into toxic relationships, chasing that bad boy, that's their type. The very behavior that caused you the most pain in your childhood, the inconsistency, is also what activates your attachment system the most strongest. And when the partner pulls away, it triggers your deepest fear. Your brain goes into survival mode, and you use activating strategies, calling, texting, and trying to fix things, anything to get that connection back. When that person returns, feeling isn't just love, it is profound, earth-shattering relief. So your anxious nerves and your nervous system is finally going to calm down, and it is in this situation where this intense swing from high anxiety to immense relief that the brain mistakes for deep, passionate love. You're going to think, wow, no one has ever made me feel this strongly, when in reality, no one has ever triggered your core wound so effectively. Thinking this is love at first sight. This isn't love at first sight. This is what they identify as complex PTSD, where you are re-traumatizing yourself based on past traumas. That might actually be part of the reason I don't have a lot of friends. I try to be intelligent because I was demoned as a kid by my parents, and have anxious attachment style. You grew up in my generation, all of us was treated like shit when we were growing up. Our parents loved us, but they showed it to us in the most toxic and aggressive way. Man, go make sure that you share me with everybody in your friend group too, because maybe they start watching a show and we'll go viral. I don't think that you are you have a small quantity of friends because of your high intelligence. I think your high intelligence was the result of you trying to be perfect for your parents, and that attachment style that developed because the only time that your parents showed praise to you was when you were doing something that they preferred, whether it was getting good grades or not getting in trouble. And in that scenario, when you finally accomplish that A honor roll, and they're proud of you, and they're giving you all of this praise, and they're taking you places and showing off your report card and buying you gifts and stuff, that attachment style that developed from that generation of parenting, you ended up becoming a Mrs. Perfect. And no matter how flawed you might recognize in yourself, You try even harder to be Mrs. Perfect when you don't have to try that hard in normal society. And that's one of the reasons why. But you find yourself with friends that see your overachieving as a threat to them when it's just they're underachieving. Then you don't really bond with people that don't try as hard as you do because you lose value in them and you lose respect for them because they're not applying themselves. So you distance yourselves from people who aren't as motivated as you are. And that is the product of your attachment style. You have high standards for other people because you have high for yourself. But they're not applying themselves. I have high standards for myself too. You said you're 39, I'm 41. So I mean, we're in the same age group. I soon as you identified your upbringing, you grew up in my generation. So you're 2 years younger than I am, and it is we grew up in the same generation. We grew up in the same generation of old folks that were assertive about their shit. They cared for us from a distance. They spent more time at work than they spent at home. When they did come home, they were usually disciplinarians. We weren't behaving correctly, but when we did what they wanted and we achieved that what they didn't expect us to achieve, especially when they got called from the school for something positive, they gave us praise finally, and we took that praise and we clutched it tight. That's what happened. That's going to be an attachment style. Now you're going to find that you can have more than one of these styles at the same time, but the trigger that activates that style is going to be situational. But learning about these things is going to help you understand how you approach yourself. Just like you said earlier, how you approach yourself and how you approach other situations with the new knowledge that you have. Now, let's bring in that other side of the toxic dance, the avoidant attachment style, because this is going to be part of the reason why the push and pull happens. And this is often going to form when a caregiver was constantly distant. A lot of criticism, very little praise. They found fault in doing good because while you did good, you didn't do good enough. You played Mozart at 4 years old, but you missed a note that nobody heard it. They're hard on you. You know what I mean? The house is clean, but the bed doesn't have creases on the corner. Stuff like that. The child is going to learn that expressing needs is pointless or unsafe in a situation where the parents aren't there to receive praise when the children are expressing needs. And then when the children are expressing needs, the parents are telling you, shut up, stop asking for shit. I give you what you already have. Or take what I give you and don't ask for nothing else. Or do you have McDonald's money even though you're hungry? Parents don't want to hear that shit. This is what's going on. So you're going to learn to suppress the emotional needs and become quiet. Your parents are at work too much, you're going to praise yourself for getting an A. Your parents aren't going to buy you your favorite toy, you're going to get a job and go buy it yourself. You're going to stop asking them for stuff because you know they're going to tell you no, so you're going to find ways to get it for yourself. Oh my God, this is so good. So glad you're talking about attachment styles. Not a lot of people talk about this stuff. Nobody talks about the stuff that I talk about. Nobody on YouTube, nobody on Twitter, nobody on TikTok talks about what I'm talking about. They just talk about how girls don't pay attention to guys. That's all they talk about. They talk about the hot button topic of relationship dynamics. I talk about the core reason why people are fucking up as adults. Because that's a big, if we focus on the core problem, we can find a solution to some of it. A lot of things require the other person to change, but a lot of it can require you to remove yourself from a person that doesn't want to change. That way you don't spend 15 years in a marriage that you're not happy in 3 months before you got married. One of the reasons why people get cold feet in a marriage is not because of their own personal anxieties. It's because you know the person that you're about to marry ain't shit, but y'all have been together for so long that y'all are supposed to get married, and you're hoping that when you marry this person, they're going to get better. But you know that if they keep behaving the way they're behaving now, or if they get worse, that this is going to fall apart, but you don't want to not get married. because you've been for too long and y'all are supposed to get married. That's one of the downsides. Special shout out to Nicole from Detroit, Michigan. That's one of the downsides of the monogamous expectations, is because there's unwritten rules that you must follow in a specific timeline. And if you don't follow those rules, you're considered a failure. But truth be told, a lot of times women are pressured into marriage by their society, and they pressure their man into marriage because of their society. So she's getting married because everybody wants her to get married, not because they're ready. He's marrying her because she wants him to marry him, not because he's ready to marry her. She's not wife material. That's why he's not marrying her. And he might not be husband material, which is why she's always nagging him. But they're going to get married anyway because 13 of her friends got married. And eventually they're going to get married. They're not going to be happy. They're going to get a divorce because they didn't fix what was wrong before they got married. See, so a lot of people want to blame the opposite sex. I see that a lot online. Well, of course, everybody's always going to blame somebody else. Everybody's always going to blame somebody else. I am the only person that's going to say, point the finger at you. Point the finger at you and fix yourself first. And after you fix yourself, then you have the expectation to hold everybody else around you with non-negotiable expectations for behavior. You're going to hold them accountable for your standards, which means that if they don't perform to the same level that you're willing to perform for them, you replace them with people who are going to perform on the same level. Not a higher level, the same level. A man that is on your level is capable of doing for you what you are capable of doing for yourself. If he is doing for you what you could not do for yourself, he is not on your level. A woman that is on your level is willing to do for you what you are capable of doing for yourself. If she is not capable of doing for you what you can do for yourself, she is not on your level. And no woman wants to date a man that can't do for her what she can do for herself. Those men don't even count. I'm just trying to tell it how it is. In these situations, intimacy doesn't feel their childhood self-reliant and independent. They didn't depend on their parents for emotional validation. They didn't depend on their parents for their needs. They did not depend on their parents for psychological stability. They provided it for themselves. So intimacy, which is going to be a level of codependency, is going to feel like a threat to their independence. So instead of them bonding with and relying on their partner, they will fail that because that challenges their independence, which is one of the reasons why I tell women on a regular basis that now that we done gotten through half of the show, when I say that an independent woman should not be in a relationship, a self-sufficient woman, which there's a big difference, even though those words are intertwined with one another, there's a big difference between the two. An independent woman will sacrifice the relationship to maintain her independence. A self-sufficient woman will hold the fort down until the team shows up to carry some of the weight. There is a huge difference between the two. The difference between a team player and a LeBron James, the difference between a person who's going to share responsibility or take control over the entire scenario. Maintain the autonomy of her independence is going to sacrifice her relationship. She's going to sacrifice her children. She's going to sacrifice her boyfriend, her husband, and maintain her independence. Self-sufficient woman, she will share responsibility with her husband. She will share duties with the kids. She will share the lifestyle with the other people in her tribe, in her camp, in her pack. Self-sufficient. Somebody has to provide support for the person that's on the offense. This is just like a video game. You have your defenders that take all the hits. You have the support that provide long fire. You have your guys that move in quick for close combat. But the weak, fast guys are protected by the slow, strong guys. The balanced guys in the back that can't take off damage and can't move that fast, they take long range shots to cover the other two. And think about it. Should the women be the tank in the front, or should the women be the sniper in the back? Women want to be that fast moving assassin that goes out there and slashes everybody's throats. But at the end of the day, the person in the front takes all the hits. I keep telling women, y'all are supposed to be the sniper in the back. You're still getting the job done. Y'all are supposed to be the sniper in the back. But if you're the sniper in the back, you're following instructions from the husband. He tells you get down so nobody sees you there. That way, when you got, you're coming out as the surprise. You're the cavalry. You are the reinforcements. He's going to knock down as many people as he can knock down. And when he can't knock down nobody else, you run over whoever's left with the car so that he can get in the car and y'all can take off. But if you're the first person in the fight, he's got to pull you out of the fight so that he can get into the fight so that you can go get the car. That's why men have problems with alpha women. Because those women that want to be on the front lines of conflict cannot be protected by the man because she is on the front lines instead of him. Women supposedly have really good sniper aim statistically. Right. And while women have sniper aim, how quickly can you snipe a target when you're too close to pick up the barrel? Think about it. Sniper rifles are upward of 16 to 20. They're long. They're the same size as a person. Some of them like 3 feet, 5 feet long. They're long, right? They have 300 foot, 300-yard range, right? Long range fire, right? So how you going to be 10 feet away from the problem and pick your sniper rifle up? Aren't you a little bit too close to this conflict? Women have good aim. This is why they say that a man is supposed to be her sword and her shield. She's still fighting behind him. She has high value. It's just like a chessboard. The queen protects the king from the back row. You ain't never played chess by moving the queen first. You got to at least move one pawn out the way before the queen can move. She is always a secondary mover. She is never the primary mover. She's the strongest, most powerful one on the field, but she always moves second. Who's the pawn? The dude in the front. Think about it, ladies. Think about it. Think about it. And when you want me to teach you something, I'm just trying to tell y'all how it is. This is how it is. And if women recognize this, y'all will have so much control over your relationships. Y'all will have so much control over your society, because instead of you arguing with somebody that's unreasonable, you can stand behind your man, let him argue. You can look at the fallout and you can take the necessary actions where you would be the first person to react to conflict. The woman is supposed to tell the man, look out, it's a trap. But how the hell are you going to know if it's a trap if you don't be quiet and listen to what's going on around y'all? You're supposed to be able to see what he's not looking at. But how can you see what he's not looking at if you're the conflict with the person in front of you? He's looking at the conflict in front of you. You're looking at the conflict in front of you. Nobody's looking at the ambush behind him. You're supposed to be behind him, standing out of the way, looking for the ambush. You're supposed to bring the chair shot for the ambush. But nobody's back if you're in the front of it. That's what women don't think about that. But when y'all think about it, because a man ain't just there to open the door for you and keep your feet from getting wet. Women who supposedly have really good snipers was told so by a man. But that don't change nothing. You and I grew up in the same generation where we were told that behind every strong black man was a strong black woman, and universally speaking, behind every strong man is a strong woman, right? Behind every good man is supposed to be a good woman. And it's not because she's beneath him, and it's not because she's less than him. It is because in order for him to do it, she has to watch him do it. not do it for him. In order for him to do it right, she has to watch him do it. And as he starts to fall off, she is supposed to coach him on how to do it better. I tried to do X, Y, and Z and it didn't work. Now wife comes with an idea. She wasn't the one that came up with plan A. She's the one that came up with plan B. She followed plan A. I know this ain't gonna work, but I got plan A ready for when I got plan B ready when plan A failed. She's not gonna argue him down about how wrong he is. We're gonna do it your way. Even though I know we can get a free tow for this car right now. If you want to push this car up the hill, I'm gonna let you push the car. I'm not gonna tell you nothing. But when you get tired, you can't push it no further. We're gonna put the brakes on it, and I'm gonna call a tow truck and let the tow truck come get us because they could have got us before you started pushing. And when he say why you didn't do that in the first place, because you didn't ask me to. You told me to hold the steering wheel, so I held the steering wheel. Do you see the difference in cooperation there? He can't get mad at that. Because had he said, well, shit, I got to push this car. You got any ideas? Yeah, let's call a tow truck. That's teamwork. But what we have in modern society right now, we got females like, oh, you ain't strong enough to push this car. I'm going to call a tow truck. No, that's all right. You don't need to push this car. You can't handle this car. I'm going to call a tow truck. You didn't devalue the guy before he could even try. That motherfucker might push the car all the way home. I can tell you what. And you know how I know that? I was in downtown by myself. I had an 83 Victoria full-size study frame, one of the heaviest cars they have out there back in the day. And I pushed that car from downtown to my house, which was all of 15 miles uphill by myself in the middle of the night. The police didn't even want to stop and help me. I pushed the car all the way to the house. And what's going on, bro? Going on, young buck? Then when I got the car back to the house, I was able to let my moms know the car needs an alternator. Had somebody told me I couldn't do it, I might have would have left the car downtown. It would have got towed. But because nobody told me I couldn't do it, I pushed the car all the way home. I was like Al Bundy. I pushed the car all the way home. Instead of telling a man that he can't do something, let him do whatever he watches. But while he's trying to do stuff, you're making plans based on your proposed expectations of his failure. Start looking up tow trucks in case he can't push the car. Look for a jump box. Look for a AAA contract in case he can't jump off the car. Start pricing extra batteries in case he can't get the car started. Like any solution that you believe will occur in case he's wrong, you're preparing that so that after he fails, you can come through. But you're not supposed to devalue him and bypass him and then move forward without his input. And then you think, well, why my man don't ever do nothing for me? Because you don't let him. As an adult, people with an avoidance style crave space, especially when things get emotional. Those are down on you and not talk, not answer. Oh, what's wrong? Nothing. They see the anxious partner's need for reassurance as very needy and extremely suffocating. Leave me alone. Give me some space. And this is going to confirm their core belief that closeness is a trap. Now, this is going to create a classic anxious avoidant trap. One of the most painful relationship dynamics. Okay, this ain't your partner. This ain't no narcissistic or toxic person doing it to you. You do this to yourself. The anxious person seeks closeness, which makes the avoidant person want distance. The more the avoidant person pulls away, the more the anxious person panics and pursues. Cat and mouse. The more the pursuer, the more the avoidant. This is going to be a situation where the avoidant person feels smothered and further withdrawals, which each person by trying harder in their efforts to counter each other's behavior. Ain't that some bullshit? They're trying harder to counter each other's behavior. My ex was avoidant of that and bad match. True, avoidant and anxious. It is um you don't really realize that you have a bad match until like 6 months down the line. And the reason why that is because, as I told y'all before, you're wowed by how much money he spent. He's wowed by the sex that you give, and y'all ignore those red flags. You dismiss his avoidant behavior as being at work too much. He dismiss your anxious behavior as clinginess. That is, for an avoidant person, attractive in the beginning of the relationship because you think about it like this. If I never eat, I'm going to be hungry. I'm going to eat eventually. But if I eat too much, I'm going to treat myself as if I'm fat, and then I'm going to starve myself. Avoidance is going to do the same thing. You push people away so much, you don't get enough emotional connection. That clingy person, you're okay with it for a little bit because you haven't been receiving enough affection because you forced it away from you. But the problem is you're not okay with too much affection. So the clingy person gives you too much affection. Then you start pushing the clingy person away. Then you start having a problem with their clinginess. The clingy person doesn't get enough affection. And because they continuously get pushed away, they continue to pull in. And that's going to cause a mixed dynamic. You would know if your partner is an avoidant partner before you commit to your avoidant partner if you pay attention to what they do and how they do it instead of paying attention to how much they spend. Guys, here, this is going to be another thing. Guys that are emotionally starved are probably going to cling to physical intimacy faster than guys that are not. So an emotionally anxious man might long for sex faster than a man that is emotionally stable. So giving it up on the first night. Every 2-3 nights, he's looking for the same thing. And you're like, oh, he's just got a healthy drive. He fulfills his emotional absence with physical connection. The lack of intimacy will trigger his anxious behavior, which will cause him to put more effort into fulfilling his anxious behavior with some type of physical intimacy. Now, this is where cheating comes in at, because if he can't get it from you, he might actually pay for it from someone else. Not because he doesn't love you, but because he's panicking. He's panicking, he's triggered, he's going to start acting erratic, he's going to start making bad decisions, and these bad decisions might lead to an affair. Not saying that he's not wrong for the affair, but this could be triggered in both men and women for the exact same reason. A woman could just as easily have this exact same experience, be out hanging out with the girls style out, meet a guy, and don't know how it happened, but end up sleeping with another guy. She's not getting the fulfillment that she was trying to get from her boyfriend or her husband. And that's an anxious attachment style that could clearly be offset onto someone else. And that's one of the worst things in the world, is to have a male best friend with your anxious attachment style, have a few drinks, get consoled by your best friend, wake up naked next to your best friend. That's how this happens. Male best friend waiting his turn. Because not one male best friend doesn't want to sleep with you. Just doesn't happen that way. Unless he's gay, any girls at all, you can't have a male best friend that doesn't want to sleep with you. It doesn't happen. It never happens. It never happens. Women tell themselves that we don't have that type of relationship. No, you don't have that type of relationship with him. He's waiting his turn. The day you trick him, you could just lie. Oh, hey, yeah, you want to sleep together? And you tell him, I'm serious. I guarantee you, he's going to come right over and try to see if that can happen, because he's been waiting for this day. Oh, he's going to automatically trigger and think, oh, she's bullshit. First couple seconds of this conversation, she's bullshit. But if you're like, no, like 3 minutes into this conversation, no, I'm serious. I guarantee he's gonna come through. He's gonna come through because he's been waiting on that day. Y'all can't have male best friends because all the male best friends want to be the boyfriend. Y'all just don't pay attention to how the man feels. When we started sharing financial responsibilities is when our attachment styles come out. I always wanted to talk about it, but he would get pissed and shut down even when I was calm or nice about things. Okay, that's not just an attachment style, but it turns out that finances did argue with you about what he was doing with with the finances. Um, but conflict avoidance could cause a problem with an attachment style. You wanted to know what was going on with the money, and he didn't want you to know, and that's going to cause a fight because you're going to feel like you're entitled to know, especially if you're putting your money in the pot. But if he thought that what he was doing with the money wasn't appropriate, or if he thought that you would be disappointed in him for what he did with the money, even if he was doing something that wasn't deceiving or anything like that, it's not like he's paying for porn or anything like that. But if he was doing something that he wasn't supposed to do with the money, like upgrade the car, buy a stereo system, anything like that, something that he just spent money that he didn't tell you about, or he has more money than he told you about, then avoiding conflict, he don't want to talk to you about it. And he will shut down on the conversation because he does not want that conflict. He just didn't want to be the one to make any money. Well, no, that's not true. Actually, he gave you the persona that he didn't want to be the one to make any money. In all reality, he was kicking his own ass about why he wasn't making enough money. He wasn't satisfied with himself as a man because he wasn't doing as good as you were, and because he was beating himself up. Before you could say anything negative about it, he didn't even want to talk about it because no man, no man wants to be a dependent to his woman. They got no problem with being dependent when the man chooses to be the dependent, saying, I'm gonna be the stay-at-home dad, you go to work. But no man wants to be a dependent to his woman. We're not intimidated by your career, we're not intimidated by your income, but we don't want to deliberately be a dependent to our woman. Usually because women don't treat men well when women become in the authority financially, but specifically because as a man, we are not going to be valued by our society, by our friends, by our family. We're not going to be valued by our society if we are not capable of providing for our woman. So as a man, I will talk bad about myself to myself. I will pressure myself to go find a job. I will pressure myself to fill out applications. I will pressure myself to always be looking for another get rich quick scheme so that I can hurry up and start bringing in more money, where these get rich quick schemes are costing me more money than just starting up a legitimate business, because the pressure that I put on myself as a man to make enough money to cover my woman's expenses, I don't need her to tell me I'm fucking up because I'm not doing enough. I know I'm not doing enough. So when you come and ask him about the money, especially if he's spending your money to cover shit, oh no, we're not talking about that, because that's going to be an argument. That's going to be an argument. Don't worry about it. I got it. That's what he's going to say. Or I don't want to talk what he's going to say because we don't need to do it. I already know. It's like getting an F on your report card. You don't need to go home and have your mama get called by the principal about how you failed to say. You know how you failed yourself. Claudia, told you, Cardinal. I told you that she was going to be here, and y'all names are so close to one another. That's why my brain hurt earlier. Special shout out to Claudia. I told you she was going to show up, and you're going to be like, oh, okay, that's why. Look, Claudia, I was calling Cardinal Claudia Cordelia because I was trying my best to say your name and her name at the same time. You know I'm not dating more than one woman because I don't get names right. I don't get names right. I'll call everybody, hey you. Oh, it was 2 hours ago when and I kept calling Cardelia because your name is Claudia, and I was talking about how you and Nicole was on the show yesterday, and we were having a positive conversation. And then when I finally got Cardinal's name correct, I couldn't say your name, and I was like, see, that name gonna come back. She gonna show up on the show, and when she show up on the show, you'll see how close y'all names are to one another, and you'll see why I couldn't get it right. I messed up both of y'all names in the first half of the show. I would only get one name right at a time. It is what it is. Now, in these situations where we're dealing with anxious avoidant behavior, each person has a behavior that's going to confirm the other person's deepest fears. The anxious person's brain is going to say, see, I knew, because they're pushing me away. The avoidant person's brain is going to say, see, I knew that they were going to trap me in this relationship with all this closeness because they're pulling each other together. I do the best I can to keep y'all entertained. But this is going to be the perfect painful storm where both partners are co-creating a dynamic that feels right because it validates their oldest wounds. So ironically, while a lot of times we have a breakup and when we talk to someone new about our breakup, we blame the other person, we contributed to that. We co-created the dynamic of failure, but we're blaming it all on the other person because the other person didn't do something. The other person said something. We fought and the other person did not cooperate with us. But we never admit what we did to mess up the relationship. The drama isn't a sign of a flawed relationship itself. It is the relationship. That is, the drama is the relationship. And breaking free means realizing that you're not fighting your love. You're not fighting for the love. You are just acting out a pre-programmed script, predominantly from your childhood. So if this anxious avoidant dance is hitting way close to home, I want you guys to know that you are not alone. And it is ultimately not your fault because this is a deeply ingrained pattern that you didn't even know was there, but it can be healed, it can be rectified. And to help you get started, you guys have to remember that you have to pay attention to a lot of the steps that we talk about. And I'm going to be putting a lot of stuff into the membership, like the anxious avoidant trap, where give you a guide to the steps to breaking these cycles. And it's going to help you guys see which roles that you tend to play and give you 3 immediate strategies to stop feeling those dynamics. And I've covered this on a show quite a few other times, so I can't remember the name of each one of the shows, but I did give a lot of steps to help cover a lot of go back to look at some of those Thursday, Friday, Saturday shows that were talking about how to avoid toxic behavior and improve yourselves from toxic patterns. Because once you get through those, a lot of those steps are in there. But I'm going to be putting them in the membership where you can find them. Now, beyond a dopamine attachment, there's another layer to the trauma, and this is going to be trauma bonding. Now, a trauma bond is a powerful emotional attachment formed through a cycle of abuse or intense trauma. So those Waffle House moments that y'all have every weekend, trauma bond. Then it's going to be followed by intermittent kindness. So after y'all had that Waffle House moment, y'all make up. It's a bond forged in pain, not mutual respect. Now, this is a key piece of the puzzle because it explains why we can feel so intensely connected to someone who constantly hurts us. Beat your ass. Oh, but I love him. Trauma bonds. The bond isn't based on love. It is a survival mechanism. The cycle of being devalued and then shown affection. And this is where a lot of times we have that conflict of interest when we start talking about how men don't like the way they're being treated. Women leave men 70 to 90% of the time. 70% of the time, uneducated women, 90% of the time, educated women. On average, between the two, 80% of the time, women leave. 100% of the time, when a woman left, the man is unhappy. Because when a woman is unhappy, she makes sure that the man is unhappy too. When the man is unhappy, the man is unhappy. 30% of the time when the men leave because the man is unhappy. When men don't get up and walk away because men have been to accept being devalued and then shown affection and mistake that as the course of being in love, which is where happy wife, happy life comes from. You ain't shit all the time. I don't need you all the time. And then one day, oh, but I love him. That's my man. I'll fight for him. Well, it's about fucking time. You've been telling me I ain't shit for the first 15 years of this marriage. That survival mechanism that men fall into is a trauma bond that still comes from upbringing. And then the crash out from repetitive bad relationships causes complex PTSD, causes complex trauma, reinforcing this type of bond. Because ultimately you believe that you're not good enough and you're supposed to be devalued this way. Then when your partner shows you high praise, it's about time that somebody's respecting me, and you cling to that moment. Like Al Bundy, 4 touchdowns in a single game, never be successful ever again in life. But them 4 touchdowns from 10 years ago is the reason why I'm still married. Criticism followed by an apology. Silent treatment. But she didn't shut you out. She ain't talked to you for weeks because you didn't do what she wanted you to do. Followed by and I love you out of nowhere. This creates a powerful, confusing attachment. Now, men do this to women too. But I just want y'all to understand, ladies, the reason why y'all got the men that y'all got is because y'all do this to them and they go into survival mode. And now the stuff that they're doing that makes no sense to you is their survival tactics, waiting on that one moment when you praise them. That's why I tell women all the time, every time you tell your man something negative, tell him 5 positive things. Every single time. Because if you can think about the last 10 times that you complained, and then think about the last time you told them a compliment. And I actually put this challenge out there. Think about the last 10 things you've complained about in the past 2 weeks. And then think about the last time you've complimented them in the last 2 years. And you will come to find that you can't remember the last time you told him something positive, but you can remember the last 20 things that he didn't get right over the past 2 months. Look at what's happening here. And this is common behavior, and it's subconscious behavior. Women aren't doing this on purpose. This is subconscious behavior. We learn from cartoons and everything like that the girls are supposed to beat on the boys and the boys are supposed to take it and laugh it off. We learn that we're supposed to get talked down to and mistreated and this, that, and third, and that's what love is supposed to be about on both sides of the fence. But that's not what it's about. You're going to become dependent on the other person for relief from the very pain that that other person is causing you. And that's an unhealthy. Often this is going to play out through something called repetition compulsion. Repetition compulsion. This is going to be our unconscious tendencies to repeat painful experiences from the past, from past toxic relationships, from past negative experiences with our parents, hoping to finally master that or get a different outcome. So the shit didn't work out when I was having arguments with my daddy. I'm going to date a guy that's going to have those same kind of arguments with me so that I can win this argument or get a better result out of this argument as an adult. Daddy issues. What am I drinking? I am drinking Arizona green tea with the ginseng in it. They should pay me for this advertisement. last time I was drinking Dr. Pepper. I should be a spokesperson because I'd be thirsty on this show. It's a good thing I ain't got no hot chicks diving up on this show in the screen, because when I said that, everybody would have blushed. I'd be thirsty. You could tell by the green can that this is Arizona tea. I didn't know they made it in a can. Yeah. When it comes to affection and kindness, I excel in relationships, especially if my man is a sweetheart. I fall short in other ways, though, not much household, because if you're not capable of contributing as much to the household as your partner needs you to, then y'all might end up in a kind of arguments that will lead him to not behave the way you want him to behave, and then your kindness is going to depreciate because you don't feel the love and affection that you want to feel from your partner. Not because it's your responsibility to be a homemaker, it is because y'all did not have the communication between y'all for him to do some stuff around the house and show you how he wants other things done, and then you prioritize whatever is most important to him out of the way, so that when he come through, that he's not inconvenienced by whatever didn't get done. Y'all did not find an equal medium in that, because a lot of times it's not about you being barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen washing dishes. It's about the fact that he didn't have nothing clean to eat with because all the dishes are dirty. He didn't have a clean outfit to put on because all the laundry needed to be done, and he came in from work smelling like 8 types of sewage, and he couldn't even take a shower and put on clean clothes because he's got to wait 3 hours for the clothes to finish getting washed and dried before he could take a shower. So it's certain things that you just got to realize what will impact him the most, get that done, and then everything else just kind of get to it eventually. Because no man is house with a white glove and be like, there's dust on this banister over here. I would hit him with a brick. There ain't no reason why that kind of behavior should happen. Can you believe they're still 99 cents? No, they're not 99 cents. $1.99 in some areas. They're supposed to be 99 cents. It's written on the can. But if you go to some stores, and what you would have to do is you would have to report them to make it stay 99 cents. They're supposed to be sold at 99 cents at the store. So the can says 99 cents, but the shelf says 129 or 199. And if it is not being sold at the price that it is on the can, you are supposed to document the establishment that's doing that and then contact Arizona and report them. How much you bought it for? Shit, I bought a case. I don't know what. This is the small can. There's no price on this can. This is the small can. So I bought a case of it from Walmart. I have no idea how much I paid for the case. I have no idea. I had bought like $300 worth of stuff because they said that it was going to freeze America. And I was like, well, let me just grab a case of this. I just threw it in the cart. I just wasn't paying attention. I just threw it in the cart. I threw it in the cart on top of 2 pork shoulders because I was going to make some bonus spare ribs. And I was like, let me get some Arizona tea. I ain't got no Arizona tea in a while. I just threw it on there. But I know that most stores overcharge for the 20-ounce can. Most stores overcharge for it because it's supposed to say 99 cents. But when you see it on the shelf, you'll see it at low. Double check that, because an Arizona tea with the ginseng, it helps with the male libido. It helps with that drive. Still, they always been the cheapest iced tea. They are the best iced tea. You can't beat Arizona tea. I will drink 6 of these during this show if I don't pay attention to it, versus one thing. I bought the whole case just yesterday, Thursday, and I think I've only got like 5. And I have bought a big case. And I'm sitting here like, shit, I'm going to have to order. Yeah, and that really describes my house right now, how I feel about my tasks. Dishes dirty, laundry dirty, LOL. Been going through some stuff lately, though. Got to give yourself a break sometimes, getting sick of it, though. Well, here's the thing. you have issues that you're not telling your husband about, and that's going to cause y'all to have problems. You need to get you a therapist to talk about some of that stuff when your husband doesn't have time to listen to it. You should have a dishwasher in the house, but if you don't, one of the things I usually do is soak all of my dishes in bleach with some Dawn in it. And then whenever I get around to it, I put some fresh water in the sink and wash all the dishes because it's easier to get them clean when they've been soaking in bleach and water for a while. Another thing that I usually do is I reuse the same dish multiple different times, so that by the time I do finally go to wash dishes, there's only 8 things to wash because I only used 8 things at the throughout the entire week. I drink out the same cup until I can't drink out of that cup no more. I eat out the same bowl no more. That reduces the quantity of dishes that need to be washed because instead of me using each plate once, I repetitively use that plate until I don't need to use it anymore. Then I'll put it in a sink and soak it. Then eventually I'll take all the dishes out of the sink and put them in a dishwasher and turn on a dishwasher. Well, I mean, you could be single, but that doesn't change the fact that since there's nobody to talk to right now, besides telling me what your problems is, you can always talk to a therapist. If you just have too much stress on your plate, I've given you guys a whole different show about prioritizing your time. Find 2 important things that need to be done out of the day, and then the other 3 things that can be put off till tomorrow. Only accomplish 2 things today primarily, and the rest of the stuff you wait till tomorrow. You'll find yourself with more free time. You'll find yourself accomplishing more stuff instead of putting 52 things on your schedule for today, trying to live a 26-hour day in a 24-day week. You want to make yourself only have 5 to 8 hours worth of things to do, and everything else can wait till tomorrow. That takes the pressure off of you. That takes the anxiety off of you, and that anxiety wears you out faster than anything. You have mental stress that will make you weaker and tired and more exhausted than physical stress. And that's one of the arguments that women have. They don't word it correctly, but they argue that a man working on the job is not as hard as a woman working at the house because she has mental stress at the house that can't be recovered from by taking a break. Men can stop working and recover their muscles. Women can't stop thinking and recover their brain. They got to go take a nap, and they don't always have the capabilities to take a nap because who the fuck's watching the kids while they sleep? I told you, dude, you're better than any therapist. I know. You're not going to believe this. I actually work alongside, I think, 2 or 3 different therapists, and none of them treat me for anything. I don't pay them, but the point is that I 2 to 3 times a week, I got a conversation with at least 1 to 3 therapists every week, and it's just like I'm helping them. I'm like, well, if you do this, this is how you. Now, this is a therapist supposed to be talking to me. Well, if you do this, then you'll be able to improve this conversation with your kid, or you can do this, and because therapists need therapy too. They used to start charging. Well, I have a membership. You tell me I should start charging. Look, here's the thing. I have a membership. The cheapest membership is like $3-4 a month. Some of the most expensive ones is like $500 a month. You get all kinds of stuff with that one. But then you have capabilities on the show when you benefit from the information that I'm giving you. You can donate to the channel $5, $10, $20. Special gifts, special likes, special emojis, special comments. Just note that if you ever donate something to the channel, the YouTube takes half of it. So if you want me to get $10, you got to send 20 because YouTube's going to take half of it. But like the price is up there. But the cheapest price scale, I told you guys, like $3-4 a month is like the cheapest membership I have. And I give you more information 3 hours a day than what you would get from 1 hour with a specialist at $350. Your cheapest therapist at $30 an hour, I give you more information in 4 days than what you would get from a therapist in 4 appointments at $120 for a therapist and $3 a month for me. So many people should be joining my membership. The price scale is there, but I give you this information for free. If you don't join the membership, I give you this information for free because the goal here is to make everybody better. Eventually, everybody will either be on the membership, or there'll be enough people watching the show and going through all of the ads so that the ads will compensate. Either way, I'm gonna help you guys out one way or another, because I'm not gonna force you guys to give me anything, to give you knowledge. I'm not gonna be like those gurus and those seminar people that's like, oh, for 1995, I'll tell you how to fix your life. No, that's okay. I will tell you how to fix your life. And then after you fix your life, you might just decide to give me 50 instead. Either way, because I'm good. Too bad for me. I like to do therapy in person. Well, the best part about social media with the way things are right now, outside of clicking the link, approving the camera, and approving the mic, and coming on in real time, which is always able to be done on this channel, you can always come up with a hidden profile and put your own information up there and talk about your story as a anonymous person, and then I can tell you what you need to do personal life. And one of the best things about having somebody that doesn't live in your neighborhood, the stuff that you talk to me about, I can't talk to your friends about because I don't know your friends. And I strongly recommend, when I tell people that are in a relationship to go and get a therapist, I make sure that I also tell them, don't just get a therapist, you get a therapist in a different city. You don't get a therapist in your neighborhood. You don't, and if you don't have the money to pay for a therapist, go talk to a preacher, go talk to a priest. But you don't go to the church that you go to church at. You don't talk to your congregation's preacher. You go as a guest to another church in another city and talk to their pastor, their preacher. Why? Because they have no attachment to you. They have no value for the information that you gave them. They can take it to their grave because they cannot leverage it to benefit them. No matter how much they claim that they gave their life to God, they're human. In your church, if you tell your pastor too much stuff about yourself, he'll do a sermon about your shit. Without naming you, he will do a sermon where you know he talking about me today. But if you go and talk to another pastor about the situation in another church, even if they did that sermon, nobody in the room know who you are. They just know that they're learning something that day. You can go to, if you don't have the ability to go to a preacher or a um, therapist, shit, you can go to AA. You don't have to have an addiction to go to a meeting. You can just go to a meeting and listen to everybody else complain about their shit, and then you can realize first and foremost, after you go listen to everybody else complain about what they're going through, you can realize that your life isn't as bad as you thought, which gives you more motivation to fix what you got going on in your life. This internet is making me mad. It's working, but it is not working the way I want it to work. Gosh, we got like 4 bars right now. Oh, there we go. Okay, so you don't necessarily have, so just to recap, because we had a little bit of lag, you can do a therapist in a different city, do a preacher or a priest in a different city. You can go to a group meeting of any kind. You don't have to be part of, they're fixing the towers right now, and they keep turning them off, and that messes up my signal, and then they've got to reprogram me, and I haven't called them yet because I'm in the middle of the show, but I'm going to get them to reset it. It's a mass reformatting scenario. I can't control it. I'm waiting on fiber optics, but that's going to cost me double what I'm paying right now. So while it costs me about $330 a month for the service that powers this podcast, they take 50% off after I remind them how I've been grossly deprived of service. So I'm still paying $150 a month to power this podcast, plus any advertisements that I spend. And so again, contributions help the channel. I'm supposed to be trying to get me, whenever I can get enough money, a $3,000 laptop to have a better processing speed to hopefully offset some of the lag, because I have a small Anevo that has a pretty decent processing speed, but not enough to satisfy my expectations. Oh, hold on a second. This is one of those things. See, just as sure as we started talking about it,
just as sure as I was talking about it, everything went out. So when they shut down the just like you said, yeah, everything is lagging. Just as sure as they turned off the towers, then I got to call them and they're gonna have to put me back on the towers. Everything is out right now, but I'm gonna call them after the show. So, but when this happens, I end up getting $150 off of my $330 bill. So I end up spending almost $150 a month on the service to power the podcast. That's why I say anything can help. So when we get a bigger computer and have a better processing speed, hopefully we'll be able to offset some of the lag, but we can't offset all of the lag until we relocate to an area that doesn't have this lag, because they're servicing the towers every month. They're always working on these towers. It is a drag. But either way, moving on, I'm gonna finish the show one way or another. So if you're still here, stay here. I ain't going nowhere. We still got 25 more pages left. So I got another 40 minutes worth of stuff to go, to at least 25, 30 more minutes worth of stuff to go to get through all of the information that we were talking about before the lag happened. So if back to the main topic, if you grew up in a chaotic or emotionally unstable home where love was unpredictable, your brain would be wiring itself to see the environment as normal, this particular type of chaotic environment as normal. So you would see chaos as feeling like home. This is going to be one of those situations where you are more attracted to the bad boy than the good guy. Good guys finish last because nobody grow up in a relationship with their families where there's no chaos. Chaos is what love looks like. So stability doesn't look normal, right? So as an adult, you might be unconsciously drawn to partners who recreate these familiar feelings. An emotionally distant partner feels familiar. If you had an emotionally unavailable parent, a critical partner feels familiar. If you were always criticized as a kid, your brain isn't seeking pain. It is seeking what it knows. It's seeking familiarity. So there's a twisted kind of comfort in the familiar, even if the familiar is agonizing. As a friend once told me, the devil you know feels safer than the heaven you can't trust. I'm going to say that for you one more time. The devil you know feels safer than the heaven you can't trust. This is why you might find yourself trying to fix the person or the relationship, because on a unconscious level, you're not just trying to save the relationship, you're trying to save the little kid inside of you. The little kid that couldn't get the love that they needed growing up. So you think that if you can just get this person to love you consistently, that you can finally heal that old wound. And it's a heartbreaking and pointless effort, because you're trying to fix a past problem with a present person who often is unwilling or unable to give you what you need. And that's one of the reasons why the relationship is failing, because you're trying to make something that cannot happen occur with a person who, one, doesn't know what needs to happen, and two, wasn't told something needed to be fixed. Y'all got to think about that now. The intensity of this fight, the desperate striving, this is what gets confused with deep love. So you think, I must really love them to be fighting this hard. But what you're really experiencing is a trauma bond. I was told when I was young that you are not supposed to fight for what's yours. So if you in a relationship fighting with her, she ain't yours. Nowadays, we say she for the streets, but this is the truth, is that I should not have to fight you to be with you. If I'm fighting you to be with you, then you are not for me. We are supposed to work together to be better than what we were when we met each other. So if I got to fight you to fight them, then I'm just going to let you fight them on your own, because I'm not fighting you and them. This is not a round robin match. This ain't no Royal Rumble. I'm not in no gauntlet match in the Elimination Chamber. This isn't me in the Hell in a Cell. I am not trying to win against you and the world. I already got to fight the world. I ain't got no problem with fighting the world on your behalf, but I'll be goddamn if I'm going to fight you after I done conquered the world. That ain't happening. King Arthur did not have a rebellion in his kingdom, and I will not have a rebellion in mine. The queen keeps the castle in order while the king is conquering the world. So every man's kingdom is supposed to be a sanctuary, not the man cave. He's not supposed to be hiding in the garage talking about that's his kingdom, not the man cave. We're talking about the whole house is supposed to be his kingdom. So, ladies, if y'all stop and y'all look at in your household right now, if you're in a relationship or if you remember the last relationship you was in, how much of him was shown throughout the house? If the house was mostly decorated by you with all the things that you like and most of the stuff that he liked didn't exist in the house, probably because he didn't exist in the house. That wasn't his sanctuary. That was your sanctuary. Think about that for a second. And then ask yourself, where was he finding peace at in your sanctuary? Probably wasn't, which meant that he was always stressed out and never saying anything about it, which was a problem in your relationship, which is part of the reason why the relationship fell apart. It is vital to know the difference. Love is built on mutual trust, respect, and safety. A trauma bond is marked by intensity, fear, and a loss of self. Love should feel like a safe place to land. A trauma bond feels like you're constantly bracing for impact. Recognizing that this powerful pull might not be love at all, but an echo of an old wound is a revolutionary act. It's going to come on eventually, y'all. Y'all can keep commenting through here. I see them comments. This is going to be key for you to be able to unlock the cage. Okay? You have to understand the science. Oh, it looks like it's working now. Heavens to Murgatroyd. It's almost up there. So understanding the science behind all of this is incredibly empowering. It moves you from shame, such as what's wrong with me, to understanding. Oh, this is a pattern, and now I see why. So awareness is the first step. But the next step is consciously starting to rewire your brain to seek safety instead of chaos. Now, this is going to be a journey, not an overnight fix, but it does start with changing what you think chemistry really is. So for years, you're probably equated anxiety, butterflies, and emotional roller coasters with love. From now on, I want you to see those feelings as red flags, not red flags of your partner, red flags of yourself. That's going to be your first understanding, because your attachment style being activated by instability, those aren't butterflies. That's your nervous system in fight or flight mode. So the new goal isn't a heart-pounding spark. The new goal is peace. It's calm. It's safety. At first, this will feel boring. Your brain is used to the drama. It'll tell you there's no chemistry here. And that's one of the reasons why when women are like, oh, I'm just not attracted to him, that's because you're attracted to chaos. I understand that. I respect that. I'm not attracted to chaos. So if my boring is boring you, then I'm good with that because I am not okay with chaos. But you have to learn to override the voice that is telling you that you're attracted to chaos. Because real chemistry isn't the anxiety of wondering if they're going to text back. It's the deep, peaceful feeling of knowing that they're going to text you back eventually. Whenever they stop doing whatever the hell they're doing, they're going to get back to you. It's the comfort of being with someone who doesn't make you second guess your own worth. Healthy love fosters feelings of genuine peace and connection, associated with hormones like oxytocin and serotonin, not frantic pursuit. So you're not supposed to be in a relationship where your partner is telling you that you're worthless in a relationship until they want you to do something for them. That's not a healthy relationship. Your new mantra is, if it feels like chaos, it's not love. If it feels like peace, it's worth exploring. Well, this internet wild as hell right now. You need to shift from being a participant in the drama to an observer. You want to start a journal after a date or an interaction with somebody, and don't just ask, did I like them? Ask yourself some better questions. Ask yourself things like, how did my body feel with them? Was it tense? Was it anxious? Was I calm and relaxed? Did the actions? Look, he said, I feel like I've read this before.
Look, it's starting to work.
Look, it's starting to work.
All right. We trying to make it, Cardinal. We trying to make it. You may have read this before, but you know what? I have said some of this before. I have said some of this on the show before plenty of times to try to tell people that there are better ways for us to get to interact with one another, but we don't always know how to do it. And then because we don't always know how to do it, we find ourselves in a trouble position where we freak out because we can never get to the solution as to why things aren't working the way we want them to work. Child, this internet gonna make me mad. Other times you're gonna ask yourself, did their actions meet or match their words, right? Did what they do match what they said? Do I feel more or less confident in myself after being with them? Am I already making excuses for them, justifying why they're doing what they're doing? And this inconsistencies, unavailability, criticism. Once you name the patterns, you can take away its power. It's no longer a mysterious force. It's a predictable cycle that you choose to be in, but now you will choose to stop it. So when the anxious attachment system gets triggered, your impulse will be to get reassurance from the other person. Go text them, call them, make them soothe your anxiety. Your healing is going to lie in learning to soothe yourself. And I've told you this before. You have to learn to soothe yourself. So when you feel the panic rising, you don't pick up the phone. You pick up a new habit. I've told you this before. Practice breathing exercises. Techniques like box breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds. Continue to do this. This can calm your nervous system in minutes. Move your body. Get up out the chair, get off the couch, stop laying in the bed, go for a walk, do some yoga, take the dog out, go dance around your room. Try to learn how to moonwalk, learn some taijutsu off of the internet or something. Physical activity helps process stress hormones like cortisol, which, ladies, belly fat is from a buildup of cortisol. So there are a lot of women who don't know why they're putting on a lot of extra chunk around the midsection, and it is going to be because of stress hormones like cortisol, built from constantly allowing yourselves to be in a life of stress that is going to be built up in the body in the most unsexy locations that you cannot get rid of, because that's not fat. Mm. Damn, I just came up with a pretty decent diet plan. I gotta tell y'all, we learn a lot of stuff on this show. We learn a lot of stuff on this show. How does it keep freezing up on us? We're gonna get through this. We're gonna get through this. We only got about 10 more pages left. I might have to pull up the backup screen. I'm gonna have to pull up the backup screen so that we can see ourselves again, because it did froze up. All right, we're gonna pull us in. Give me.
I will try again. Where are we? There we go. All right. So we gonna get through today. We gonna get through today. Look, next thing you want to do is you want to call a secure friend, not a male best friend. You don't want to talk to him. You want to talk to someone who's going to make you feel grounded, not somebody who's going to take advantage of your vulnerability. This is not to overanalyze the situation, but to remind yourself what safety feels like. So every time you successfully soothe your own anxiety, instead of chasing the person who triggered it, you are actively rewiring your brain. Now, you have to understand that when somebody is triggering your anxiety, they don't necessarily have to know that they're triggering your anxieties. But when they do trigger your anxieties, you have to know how to handle that on your own. Because when you tell your partner that they're triggering your anxieties, they're going to apologize, and that's going to force them to walk on eggshells to try not to trigger your anxiety. But truth be told, you don't have to tell them that every single thing that they do triggers your anxiety, but you can work on your anxieties. You can tell them that you're having anxious moments while they're not there. You can tell them that you're having anxious issues when they're at work or whatever. But since it is not their fault, you make sure that it is clear to them that it is not their fault, but you're working on it. They know sometimes you might be going through something while they're not there. If they do have a heightened level of concern, they might decide to check on you just to make sure that you're good. That's not a requirement for them, but if they do, that also provides you with a level of soothingness, because instead of you anxiously waiting on them to call, you know they're going to check in eventually. Actually, you guys can have a scenario where you can set a specific time when you know your partner's lunch break is, that they're going to contact you on their lunch break. And then you just be by the phone when they go on lunch break. But you're going to teach yourself that you are your own secure source of safety. People stuck in these cycles often have very flexible boundaries. Non-negotiable expectations for behavior doesn't exist with them. And that's one of the reasons why I tell you guys that you have to focus on prioritizing your non-negotiable expectations for behavior. You're not necessarily trying to set up boundaries, because I personally believe that boundaries are building invisible walls between you and your partner in your relationship. There should be no distance between the two of you, but there should be a level of expectations and performance. So your new job is going to build a healthy fortress around your sanity. So you want to define your non-negotiables. These aren't preferences like I want them to be 5'6" or 6'10" or $100,000. These are the absolute requirements for anyone who gets access to you. Examples of this could be consistent communication. I need a partner who communicates regularly and doesn't vanish. And when we talk about communicating regularly, it's not every hour on the hour. It's somebody that might talk to me every day. It might be somebody that talks to me at the end of every business day. It might be somebody that talks to me every morning when they get up, but it's not going to be somebody that has to talk to me throughout the day because they got to work and make their money. You can't text me and drive at the same time. But when you don't have something to do today, you should be able to talk to me today, right? Another idea would be respect. I will not tolerate being belittled or dismissed. So telling a man that I don't need you, that's belittling him. We're not having that. You know, when you hit your partner with the, you can go, all right, pack my bags and I'm out. Think about this. Now, honesty is going to require something different because I want truthfulness, even when it hurts. And honesty is going to come from a position of no judgment, no resentment, and no retaliation. So what this means is that if they're going to tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, you will do nothing besides help them with that information. If they tell you they fucked something up, you're going to help them fix it. Even if they fucked up the relationship, you're going to help them fix it. No judgment, no resentment, no retaliation. That is the only way that you're going to get guaranteed 100% transparency. Because if you're going to judge what they tell you, if you're going to retaliate to what you find out about, if you're going to lash out to what you hear, that is going to be a problem. Oh, bless my heart. You've got a comment up there. I got to try to see if I can read this comment. It says, what does that comment say right there? Help me read this comment right here. What's your favorite Bob Marley? Bob Marley song. I don't have a favorite Bob Marley song, my guy. I appreciate you coming to the show, though. I was sitting over here trying to figure out what they got going on here. All right, so next thing that you're looking for is something consistent like effort. Okay, effort is going to be needing to see your partner actively investing in the connection. And that's going to be something that's going to be a non-negotiable expectation. So I need my partner to be actually involved outside of the bedroom, investing in our connection. This is highly important for the success of the relationship. When we're practicing these steps, you want to make sure that you write them down. You want to read them daily, because when you meet someone new, you're going to date them slowly, far slower than you've ever dated anyone else in the past. You want to give yourself time to observe their behaviors, not just their words, not just how much money they spend. You want to observe their behaviors. Are they meeting your standards over time? The intensity of their initial feelings means nothing if their behavior is inconsistent. Behavior is the only truth. So you're not trying to date somebody that can wow you today and be a disappointment tomorrow. You're trying to date somebody who is going to be consistent about their shit. Finally, you want to recognize that this is deep work. This isn't surface level information. This is deep work. So these patterns were often formed in your childhood and have been reinforced for years. Just like Cardinal 39. Or I forgot her name again. Cardelia, she's 39. But either way, we're all in our 40s, almost in our 40s. And regardless of the dynamic, you're looking at these types of attachment styles ingrained in us for more than 30 years, 35, 40 years, 42 years. So while a self-help is powerful, you're still going to need a little bit of professional support, because that can also be life-changing. So besides coming to me when my internet is working right, a therapist who spent, whether it is PTSD, whether it's complex PTSD, They can help you explore the roots of your patterns. They're going to talk about stuff that's going to make you uncomfortable. How does that make you feel about your childhood traumas? They're going to guide you to healing them. Therapy isn't about fixing something that isn't broken. It is about unlearning what no longer serves you to build the self-worth that makes healthy love not just possible, but inevitable. Because what you used to do was a defense mechanism in your childhood. As an adult, it is no longer beneficial to you. So that self-preservation that got you through your childhood as a Gen X baby is not going to be the same style of behavior that's going to get you into a relationship in your 40s or keep your relationship in your 40s. The journey away from chaotic relationships and towards secure love is really a journey back to yourself. It's about learning to trust your own gut, to value your own peace, and to believe you are worth a lot more than what you're allowing yourself to have. And you're more worthy of the love that feels safe and kind. And you're more worthy of not having all of that chaos and turmoil in your life. For so long, you may have believed that the intense, all-consuming connection was the ultimate prize. Now you know the truth. That intensity wasn't the depth of your love. It was the depth of your wound. Okay? And that anxiety wasn't passion. It was a signal from a nervous system conditioned for abandonment. The addiction wasn't to a person. It was to a chemical cycle in your brain that kept you chasing a high that could never last. That's why you're in that relationship. It was good at first and then it fell off towards the back end. Letting go of this pattern will feel like a loss at first, and you'll have to grieve the idea of love where you thought you wasn't wanted. You will have to learn to find boring beautiful, not the thrills, the roller coaster rides of excitement. But on the other side of this is profound peace and self-passion. You may have never known these feelings before, but it is the quiet confidence of knowing that you no longer need to perform, chase, or audition for love. You were never addicted to them, the people. You were addicted to a pattern in your own brain. And any pattern developed over any period of time can also be broken. Look, now let's see what we got going on with these. We working on this. We trying to get these. Just saying ridiculousness. I'm trying to get in there. I'm trying to get in there. She said, preach, my brother. All right. I got to do a picture in picture because I had to switch to the phone. The power that you choose when you're choosing a different path, it's going to have to be the choice of going inside your own will, because it was always inside of you all along. The capabilities to do this was always inside of you. You just, one, you never knew what the problem was. You didn't know where the problem existed, and you didn't know what to do about it. Now that you know, you have a map now. And now you're able to make better changes. You're able to make better improvements so that the next person might actually be the last person. So if this resonated with you guys, the next step is understanding what a healthy dynamic actually looks and feels like. So I highly recommend you guys to pay attention to some of the other upcoming shows, because it looks like I'm going to have 7 signs of a genuinely secure partner, because we've never covered that before. And that's going to help you recalibrate your attraction meter so that you can click right to the locations where your life starts to improve. Now, if you're on the journey and you're going to be going on this journey of healing in your relationship with certain patterns that you're going to be trying to improve, you want to make sure that you subscribe. If you haven't done so already, hit that notification bell, because we're going to work through this together every night of the week. I'm going to be providing you guys with all the information that you need to be successful going forward, because you are in fact worth it. I want you to remember that. Now, what I want to say on our way out, because we're going to have to reboot the whole system now. We're going to have to reboot the whole system now. I appreciate everybody who stuck through all of the technical issues that we've had with tonight's show. This doesn't happen on a regular basis. We're going to try to get this worked out. Then I want to say, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. And fellas, I give y'all this information to help y'all become higher value men so that you can find the things in your life that you don't like, that you can control and change them for the better, and then navigate around the things that you cannot. And ladies, while this is a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective, you too can take this information and make yourselves higher value women. All it takes is for you to prioritize what you want your end goal to be, and then build a plan to get there. And if you find a partner that has the same goals or the same ambitions in different ways, y'all can partner together and y'all can conquer these goals together and get there a lot faster. It takes communication, cooperation, respect, trust, and motivation. Specifically motivation, because you have to want to change. Okay? You have to want to change yourself for yourself. Once you get there, you will start seeing improvement. With that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I will see you guys tomorrow night.
Chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not landing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground.